made a difference in Douglas County. I've been reading a book by William Kitteridge in which he tells of his family settling in the West. Now, the book was written in 1992, so it's not an ancient memoir, but it is a memoir, and he's talking about how the stories were told and passed down among the men. One sentence struck me. Nobody knows much about the women. So far, their stories have not been told. Thanks to the foresight of Peggy Knox and the Douglas County Historical Society, we are telling the stories through Women in History Remembering Project. The 5 women we are honoring today will join 138 others from years past. Their interests are varied and made or are still making an impact on our community. Thank you to all of the volunteers who have helped put this day together. If I started naming names, I know I'd leave someone out, but I greatly appreciate all of the support and help. And especially to those who have put together the stories you're going to hear this afternoon. It's a big job gathering the information and memorabilia to put on the tables. It's greatly appreciated. Each honoree today will receive a beautiful certificate designed by Ellen Kaywood. The centerpiece on the beverage table and a rose for each lady are compliments of a wildflower. Presenters today are Linda Lachine and Lisa Philbin. Linda Lachine, Charlotte Settlemeyer Bass, Linda May Heider, Roland Smokey, Diane Springmeyer Callahan, and we will begin with Linda Lachine and Lisa Philbin.
Thank you, Linda. I'd like for you to meet Elizabeth Jean Chisholm. Oh, you don't know who that is? Well, we know her best as Betty Cordes. She was born in 1938 and raised in Reno, Nevada. Her parents were John Chisholm and Miriam Clark Chisholm. They had several notable businesses as well as being UNR graduates. John Chisholm was a Reno councilman in the early 1960s and served as Reno mayor from 1971 to 1973. Betty's paternal grandfather was Harry Chisholm, head of the engineering department for the city of Reno, and established the Chisholm Trailer Park west of downtown Reno in 1927, now known as River West Resort RV. 2 years later, Betty's father John took over the park that catered not only to travelers, but to those needing Nevada residency for their divorces. The Chisholm family had a dairy farm from about 1980, as well as an ice cream factory that started in 1905. Chisholm ice cream was widely distributed before that operation was sold to the Carnation Company in 1960. Betty's maternal grandfather was Dr. Walter E. Clark, who had a PhD in economics from Columbia University and was a nationally known educator and author who served as president of UNR from 1918 to 1938. Betty attended Reno High School, and in 1955, she won the overall poster contest award sponsored by the Washoe chapter of the Nevada Association for United Nations. Her art was featured in an exhibit at the Nevada Art Gallery in 1956, and she won many awards at Reno High School for still life, figure work, and sterling silver crafting. In 1958, Betty was crowned Reno Rodeo Queen and was featured in many newspaper photographs and articles in the Reno Evening Gazette. Later that same year, Betty was selected as the first Miss Reno Queen of Nevada in Fallon and also competed for the Miss Rodeo America title in Las Vegas later that year. These contests not only considered appearance and personality, but equestrian skills as well. Betty was an art major at UNR, and after her junior year, she caught the eye and affection of Chris Cordes. Chris was a rodeo cowboy from a ranching family here in the valley. He was smitten by the beautiful young lady, and they were married in Reno on June 28, 1959. Betty and Chris raised 2 children, a son, Greg, who currently lives in Reno, and her daughter, Lisa, who lives right here in Gardnerville. Betty and Chris were married for 60 years before Chris passed away last year. Being a Cordes cousin, she joined her cousins in publishing a book about their Aunt Frida's newspaper articles that she wrote for the Record Courier. Betty Cordes has been active in many local organizations in the Carson Valley. She is a charter member of the Douglas Trap and Skeet Club and won the Nevada Women's Trap Shooting Championship in 1972. Betty is also active in ranching and a member of Cowbells, a women's auxiliary to the Nevada State Cattle Association that was organized in 1958. Over the years, Betty has served as vice president, then president, and was named Cowbell of the Year. Betty also joined Minden fortnightly in the fall of 1975. Betty spoke on beef byproducts at Ag Day in 1989, held at Jacks Valley Elementary School. During the years of 1984 to 2000, she presented a ranching program at the Minden Library and many local schools, displaying branding irons and talking about cows and their contribution to daily life. In 1975, she joined the Minden Fortnightly and wrote many columns for the Record Courier during the 1980s. In October of 1997, Betty did a radio commercial for Nevada Milk. Most recently, Betty was a volunteer right here at Douglas County Historical Society beginning in 2004 and took an active role on the exhibit committee for over 10 years and helped with the Carson Valley Saloon exhibit that's downstairs in this museum. Now I'm going to let Lisa tell about some of their family life.
I've always felt that, I realize now as an adult how lucky we were to grow up on a ranch that had been in the, a family that had been in this valley since 1910, or 1890, one of the two. But growing up on a ranch that had been in the family, and we lived there, you know, my brother and I were the 4th generation to grow up on that ranch. It's pretty interesting to have your home, the home you grew up in, have stuff upstairs that's generations old. And one of the things about that is my mom was such a creative woman that there pretty much wasn't anything that you wanted to make or a project that you wanted to do that mom wouldn't stop for a second and go, I think we have one of those. And mom would go right back out with it. So she is an absolutely amazing woman and made living on a ranch and growing up in the Carson Valley an incredible experience. And you know, the few things about my mom that I have very vivid memories of is that when you're talking about the shooting, mom was quite the sharpshooter as far as for trap and skeet and that sort of thing. And one of the displays that we have up in the 70s, I think my brother and I lived on trap clubs and going to shoots more than anything else besides the ranching. And she shared with me the other day that one of her, in Sacramento, was her favorite place to shoot, and she got 196 out of 200 birds. So I've always felt if some poor soul walks in that neighborhood and thinks they're this unsuspecting woman, they have a really good time. So it's such an honor to be up here and share stories, and I thank you for honoring such an amazing woman. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we're just going to go in order of the program. I'm not going to announce everyone now, from now on. So next is Linda May Hybert. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Charlotte, excuse me. Charlotte Selmardas, I should have not done it.
Good afternoon, and as Lisa said, it is indeed an honor to have our mothers be honored in such a way, especially longtime Valley families. My mother, Mary Hancock Settlemeyer Fair, was quite a role model all these years. She was a writer, an educator, a ranching wife, a spiritual mentor, and a wonderful mother, inspirational. Mom taught me about being involved in the community through church and organizations such as Easter Seals, Farm Bureau, Douglas County Historical Society, and Carson Valley Literary Club, and many other Valley activities. For Easter Seals every year for their fundraiser, she would decorate and paint Easter eggs, those old eggs, plastic eggs. She would do a wonderful job fixing those. Some of those are included in the display downstairs, or up in the other room just adjacent to us if you haven't seen those. Mary Settlemare Fair was born in Twin Falls, Idaho on January 3rd, 1907. Her family soon moved in 1908 to Fallon, Nevada, where they began homesteading and established a farm. Life early on revolved around doing chores and caring for animals. Mary especially enjoyed horseback riding. And I'll read to you a little bit of her writing since that was a passion. This is about horses, horse and buggy days, Mary's early years. Horses, a part of the workforce, a means of transportation. Remembered, my favorite first pony, Bonnie. Bonnie was a beautiful black Mustang pony, a proud little horse with an arched neck, no droopy hanging head for her. Dad bought her from Miss Valentine, a music teacher who could no longer afford to keep a horse for personal riding pleasure.